Welcome to today's training call. My name is Joe Johnson. This is the Friday Senior Solutions Agency call. And today, like our screen says, if you're looking at the screen, it says Aflac Final Expense. And we're going to be covering, I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a highlight of the product. And mainly, I just want to kind of walk everybody through the e-application process. One thing that you'll notice as we go through the e-app, for those of you that are familiar with the CVS Aetna product, you're going to notice a lot of similarities, and that's because they're actually built on the exact same chassis. This is branded by Aflac, but it's really kind of a duplication of the CVS Aetna program. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started with our call. FYI, I won't be taking any questions or anything today. This is strictly just going to be going over the product. I'm going to try to get through this as quickly and efficiently as possible, and I will get it up onto our YouTube channel so you can view it later. If you are watching this and you are interested in contracting opportunities with Aflac, do me a favor, just shoot me a text, let me know that you are interested, and we can talk about the opportunity to get you contracted with Aflac. Also, if you are watching this as a replay, obviously this is a live broadcast. We do this live every single Friday, but if you happen to be catching this on a replay on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell. We do weekly calls every single week with product training, sales training, different techniques to help you improve your final expense career. So please subscribe to the channel, also hit that notification bell as well. All right, moving forward and just kind of doing a quick highlight of the plan. With the Aflac Final Expense plan, first of all, it's a 3-tier application, but it's a level plan and then it's modified. What they consider to be modified would be more like your traditional graded period. It's a 2-year graded period. If they were to die in those first 2 years, it's going to be return of premium plus interest. And after they've been in the policy for 24 months, it's 100% payout, just like the other, probably what you're familiar with some of our other carriers. Over here, you will notice where it says the level benefit. Let me do this. Let me see if I can get a pen real quick. I think that will be helpful. Here we go. So right over here, I'm just going to draw a circle around here where it talks about the level benefits. This is for the preferred and the standard plan. You can see based on their age will determine how much coverage they can get. So if you got underage or younger clients, and this product starts at age 45, as you can see, minimum death benefit is going to be $5,000. But all the way up until age 55, they could get a maximum of $50,000. So if you get those clients that are a little bit younger, that are looking for more than just 10 or 15,000, you can actually offer them up to 50,000. Once they get into the later years, as you can see, age 75, it's capped at 30, and then between 76 and 80, the maximum would be 25,000. Now, on the modified plan, which is over here to the right, modified is between ages of 45 and 75. So it cuts off at 75, a little bit early, and the maximum death benefit would be 25,000. Okay, go ahead and moving on. And I've got some key features that I'm going to be going over too, things that I have found out. What I have also found out too is that the training, when you log into the Aflac website and go through some of the training, it's a little bit limited, to be honest with you. So I think what I'm going to be able to bring to the table is kind of give you some better understanding as far as their underwriting and what the underwriting is like. They haven't published an official underwriting guideline yet. They do, however, on the agent portal, you can go in. They do have like a drug list, which would be considered to be knockout drugs, or to tell you, hey, if they're taking this particular drug, this is what they would qualify for. My suggestion is utilize the FEX toolkit. That's going to be really your kind of go-to to determine if your client's going to be a good fit for the Aflac product. All right, going up here, some of the key features of the product. Number one, simple e-application. And I have been through the e-application process, which I'm going to take you through. It is, again, like I said, it's extremely easy. If you've been through the CVS process, it's almost an exact duplicate of that. In a lot of cases, you are going to get a point of decision on your cases, point of sale decision. So it's kind of a no before you go. In some cases, there could be medications, there could be something on their MIB, which they're going to refer that to an underwriter, and it may take an extra day or two. But in a lot of cases, you are going to get an instant decision, which is nice. You can also set the payment to match their Social Security payment schedule. Now, don't get this confused with being true Social Security billing, okay? What they mean here is that you can set it up on the 1st to 3rd or one of the Wednesdays of the month. That's how our clients are on Social Security. That's how they get paid. So you can match it if they're getting paid on the, let's say, the 3rd Wednesday of the month. You can have it set up so those premiums are drafted on that 3rd Wednesday, but it's not true Social Security billing, whereas let's say Wednesday happened to be a holiday and they're getting their payment on a Tuesday, they're not going to draft early like some of the other companies would that have true Social Security billing. And like all our other policies, this does build cash value. There is an extended term option to keep that premium from lapsing. This would be extended term is where your client, instead of the policy lapsing, they can use some of the cash value that's built up to do extend benefits, convert it into a term policy where they could get maybe 5 or 10 years out of it. There's also the automatic premium loan option as well, which when you're doing the application, that's typically what I would sign clients up for. That's for some reason, if they're under the policy for a couple of years and there is a hiccup in the premium, they'll do an automatic loan option where they'll borrow money from the policy to make the premium to keep it from lapsing. So that's a really good feature to have in any type of final expense policy. All right, moving on. Some of the final expense riders and benefits that are available. These are the ones that are, I'm going to go over the free ones first. Let me just find my little, here it is. So, okay, so we're going to go right here. We're going to start with the riders for the level benefit. There is a automatic accelerated death benefit rider that comes free in the policy. This would be for preferred or standard, allows the client to receive up to 50% of the death benefit before they pass away if they're diagnosed with a terminal illness, and that terminal illness, the doctors have said they have less than 12 months to live. The minimum they can get is $1,000, and the maximum they could get would be $15,000. So as an example, if you have a client that had a $40,000 policy and they wanted to exercise the accelerated death benefit, even though 50% would be $20,000, they could only get $15,000 actually accelerated. And then there is an accident death benefit rider, pays 100% of the face amount for accidental death. That comes with the policy automatically. They do need to be, in order to get the additional, this is a paid rider, by the way, they do need to be between the ages of 40 and 70. And then also there's a grandchild rider that can be added as well, which is really great. I do use this rider quite a bit, not just with Aflac, but with other companies. But a lot of times, just FYI, I kind of like writing the grandchildren their own separate policy when I can. But it is good for the money. It's a really good value to go ahead and add the children's term rider to the policy. Now, as far as some of the key features, I've been running a lot of quotes on FX Toolkit just to see where Aflac comes in. In most cases, they're always in the top 5. This particular case, this was a scenario I ran. It was a quote for $10,000 for a 62-year-old male. Aflac happened, this is a screenshot of FEX Toolkit where you can see they actually came up #1 in pricing right behind Transamerica. And if you're not familiar with all the features of FEX Toolkit, I just want to point something out real quick. If you look over on each company, their logo on the left-hand side, and if you notice, there is a little star next to some of them, like as an example, Transamerica has a star, Liberty Bankers has a star, American Amicable has a star. That star indicates that these companies do true Social Security billing. So just a kind of an FYI, so you understand what that little star there is for. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to a highlighter. Change the color so I can see it a little bit better. That little pen is kind of hard to see, so bear with me there. I can see this a lot better. All right, now let me take about 5 minutes. And since there weren't any slides on the Aflac website for training, I'm going to point it out to you. And this is where you may want to grab a pen and paper, kind of take some notes. This is some of the things that I have found that I think are some of the notable key features of the Aflac product that I personally really like. And I made a list here, so let me just take a look at my list. #1, which you probably already noticed, in most situations, Aflac is going to come up priced extremely well. Typically top 5, usually within $1 or $2 of the number one carrier. The other key feature of Aflac is name recognition. You got to remember the people that we're going to see, these seniors, what are they doing all day? They're probably watching TV, game shows, Price is Right, whatever, okay? Aflac is all over the TV. Almost everybody in America knows who Aflac is because of the commercials. They spend millions, probably billions of dollars in marketing and advertising. So the name is extremely well known. So you very rarely will you probably ever find a client where there's a situation where they have never heard of Aflac before. And as far as not only the name recognition, but as far as positive feedback, they have a very positive feedback as well. The other thing about the product that I really like with Final Expense products, I like a 3-tier product. I like a product that offers a preferred, a standard, and a modified. This way you can get sometimes some health issues that with other companies, like COPD as an example, may push that into a graded or modified product where it's a 2-year wait. With Aflac, you can get a lot of health conditions pushed into standard. Price is a little bit higher, but the big selling point is that your client is going to get same-day coverage. Okay, so I kind of put a list together of things that I think are notable, that where with other Final Expense companies, they may get pushed to modified or maybe even declined. Let's see here, COPD. Okay, COPD is, as long as they're not on oxygen, you can get same-day coverage. You can get a standard rate with Aflac. Okay, insulin-dependent diabetes. With some of our companies, if they're on insulin, for example, Transamerica, even if they have no complications, if they have insulin with Trans, they're automatically standard. With Aflac, they can be insulin-dependent diabetic prior to age 50. As long as there's no complications like neuropathy, they're going to get preferred. Okay, so that's huge. And also the fact that it's before age 50. As you know, there's some big companies out there, if they're, even if they have no complications, but if their insulin was prior to age 50, the best they can do is grade it. The other big feature that I really like is that there's no height and weight restrictions. There's no height and weight chart with this particular product. So if you have those clients that are a little bit overweight, they're on the chubby side, you don't even need to ask them what their height and weight is, because Aflac doesn't care. Okay, as long as they can answer no to all the other health questions, they're good to go. Okay, now as far as some health questions that we come into quite often. Okay, one is that there's a lot of clients out there that you're going to find that are taking medication for depression and also bipolar depression. Okay, with Aflac, bipolar depression is okay, for preferred even, as long as they haven't been hospitalized for the depression within the last 2 years, they're going to be okay with bipolar depression medication. Also irregular heartbeat. So with some of the companies that we use, as you know, if they have an irregular heartbeat, heart arrhythmia, it's going to go modified or maybe even graded. Aflac, it's going to be, they can still get preferred. Blood thinners sometimes can be a big one. Sometimes you get that client that has had a heart surgery or they had a stroke, their doctor put them on blood thinners, and because of that blood, that could be Coumadin, could be Eliquis, because of those blood thinners, that they're going to be pushed into like a modified or graded, or maybe even you have to go standard. So with Aflac, blood thinners in most cases, they're going to be able to get preferred if they're taking those to treat like a heart surgery or brain surgery. Also, cancer is a big one. We run into a lot of clients that have had cancer, previous cancer. So with cancer, as long as they haven't had any treatment in the last 2 years, they're going to be able to get preferred. Also, it depends on whether or not, make sure you answer all the questions. If it's cancer that has come back, if they've had cancer multiple times, that may change the decision a little bit. But in most cases, if your client had cancer, and as long as their treatment, meaning if they had radiation or chemo, they haven't had any treatment in the last 2 years, they're cancer free, then they're going to be able to get preferred coverage. So those are some of the notables that I have found where I think Aflac really stands out over some of the competition and some of our other carriers that we do. All right, I'm going to stick with talking about FEX Toolkit real quick. So as an example, right here, you can see where Aflac in this particular case, hey, I'm contracted with them. They're coming up number one. The client is good with Aflac. I'm going to choose Aflac. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on compare, because I want to give my client some options. I want to do a 3-option worksheet. So I'm just going to kind of walk you through the process. If you're doing if you're in the home, how you use FEX Toolkit in combination with going ahead and doing your e-application. So I'm going to do compare. When I click compare, it's going to ask me to fill in some coverage options. So you can see here, I'm going to put in this particular case, I'm going to give my client a quote for $35,000, $20,000, and then $15,000. Plug it in their date of birth, all that. I'm going to be quoting them Aflac Final Expense preferred. I click right here where it says compare quotes, and then check this out. It's going to give me a 3-option worksheet that I can share my screen with the client. I can use a tablet, or what a lot of agents will do is they'll take this information off of their phone, and then they'll actually put it on a paper 3-option worksheet. What a lot of agents will do, they'll use their pre-sale folders, the Senior Solutions pre-sale folders. They'll have the 3-option worksheet in there, and they'll just simply transcribe, take the numbers off of this page, put it onto their 3-option worksheet, and then do it that way. Once the client has made the decision. So in this particular case, my client likes $20,000. He went with the $91.92 a month. I'm simply on my tablet, I'm going to click e-application. Now on a smartphone, this isn't going to work. You cannot do an e-application from a smartphone. You got to have at least a tablet or a laptop in order to do it. But once I click on e-application right here, that's automatically going to push me over to the Aflac site where I'm going to log in. So here it's going to divert you there. You got to make sure you have your username and password. I'm going to click log in, obviously, And then this is what the next page is going to look like. Okay. So again, this probably, if you've used the CVS Aetna program, you're noticing a lot of similarities. It looks very, very similar. So from here, since I'm ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and click right here. I'm going to click on quote and enroll. And this is where you're going to see all the, this is like, looks exactly the way the Aetna CVS does. You make sure you put in the zip code, put in the state, client's date of birth, when you want the policy to start. So depending on the effective date, so I'm talking to my client and they want the policy to start next month on the 3rd when they get their Social Security. So I'll open up my calendar. I'm going to put in the effective date, and then you're going to select the gender, and then also if they've used any tobacco products. Once you get that in there, you're going to click right here where it says view products. It's going to open that up. Now I'm going to pick out which plan. I'm going to type in my benefit amount. I said 20. Actually, in this illustration, in this particular application, I'm actually doing 15,000. Okay, so sorry about the confusion there, but 15,000. It's going to be level, and then I can decide whether or not I'm going to add any riders. Accelerated death benefit rider. Go ahead and check that because that's a free rider. And if they want the accidental death benefit rider, in this case, it's an extra $6. Click that if you want it. Once you've made that decision and your client's ready to go, you want to click right here where it says add to cart. That's going to push everything over here to the right. And our agreed upon premium is the $91.31. And then I'm going to click right here where it says start enrollment. Okay. Make sure you get the client's name. All that is good, whether a legal resident. Again, start enrollment. So pretty much what you're doing, once you get this far, you're just following the prompts. It's so easy. On the e-application, there are, like we said before, it is broken down into 3 sections of health questions. On today's call, we're not going to go through all the health questions. You can do this yourself, but there are 3 sections. In section A, and you should have done your pre-screening ahead of time, but for some reason in section A, if your client were to answer any of the questions yes, do not proceed with the application. It's going to be an automatic turn down. If they answer any questions in section B, then the best they can do is modified. And if they answer any questions in section C, then they're going to qualify for standard. If they answer no to everything on A, B, and C, hypothetically, they're going to be qualified for preferred. So go through all the health questions on section A. And then again, section B, as you can see, section C. And then after you get to section C, you can click on eligibility. Now you haven't put in their social or anything. It's just going to tell you, based on your how you answered the questions, they're going to qualify for preferred because we answered no to everything. If you're doing the additional rider, the individual child term insurance rider, you need to answer these health questions for the children. If you answer yes to any of the questions, the child would not be eligible for the term rider. Okay, so you go through that. Next is replacement. If you're replacing insurance, you need to make sure, it's so important, don't skip this, don't get yourself in trouble. If your client's replacing a policy, make sure you do all the paperwork. You can get into a lot of trouble if knowingly the client is going to surrender or cancel a policy and you're replacing it, and it's just not worth it to get reported to the Department of Insurance, your commissioner of insurance. So just do it right. If they are actually replacing, make sure you do the proper paperwork. It's not worth it to get reprimanded or possibly even lose your insurance license over something silly. Okay, so we're going through all that. We've answered all the health questions, and at this point, we're just gonna we've done the plan eligibility, we've done the health history. Next is the plan benefit information. So here I'm just simply clicking next. Very, very self-explanatory. And then here we're doing the plan premium, shows what the plan premium is. By making the following choices, you have sped up. Okay, well, all I'm answering here is by speeding up the process, what they mean is that for some reason, if your client is not eligible for preferred, would they take a different plan? Would they go standard or would they go modified? I'm typically going to answer yes to that. And then I'm going to ask my client, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client, hypothetically, you know, for some reason, if you don't get qualified for preferred, and maybe you get qualified for standard or graded, would you rather have the premiums increase, or I could just keep the premiums the same, but maybe we could lower the coverage just a little bit to match the premiums? Most clients are going to go with, hey, I'm comfortable with that $91 a month. If you know, if I don't get preferred, just lower the coverage a little bit. That's typically what I'm doing. And again, on the premium options, you got a second chance to add in the accidental rider. So even though my client didn't opt in the beginning, maybe they could opt in now. Mr. and Mrs. Client, hey, before I proceed with the contract or the application process, there's one last chance here to add the accidental rider, which would, if you were to die due to an accident, it will increase the death benefit from $15,000 to $30,000, and it's an extra $6 a month. You know, is that something? Would you like to include that? Okay, in this case, they're going to say no, so I'm not going to check that box. And then I'm going to check on the if non-forfeiture options selected. Okay, so do I want to select the automatic loan premium, paid up insurance, or extended term insurance? Okay, I typically do either the loan premium or the paid up insurance. And the paid up insurance, what will happen, they'll take whatever cash accumulation, and this is in the case of the policy lapsing. So instead of the client, you know, policy lapsing and they're losing everything, if you do a paid up insurance, they'll take whatever money. Maybe they've got $1,000 in cash value. Maybe that $1,000 will give them maybe $3,000, $4,000, maybe even $5,000 of coverage paid up that they don't have to make any more premium payments on. The older they are, the more let's see, the older they are, I guess the less coverage they would get based on the cash value. So just make sure you cover those options with your client. You also want to put in the payment mode. Our clients are typically always going to do monthly, and we're going to select the effective date. And here's a key feature: make sure, even though Aflac doesn't do true Social Security billing, always select the effective date, the date that they get their Social Security. Okay, so that's always important. So if you have a client that gets their check on the 3rd, as an example, and maybe they say, oh well, you know, I get my money on the 3rd, but sometimes I get it late. You know, I don't want my premiums to come out until the 5th. Trust me, they always get their money on the 3rd. Social Security does not pay late. If anything, they pay early. Make sure you get that coordinated with that. And then you just want to select, click next. And then please review. This is what, and this is by the way, I'm not revealing any client information. This is a fake client. James Franklin, effective date, August the 1st, 2022. Everything looks good. I'm going to click OK. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to put all the proposed information in, full name, date of birth, make sure all that's correct. Social Security number, it's going to ask you to re-verify it. Address. Once you put in the address, it is going to do a validation. So if there's an issue with the address, like if you accidentally type it in wrong or it's not found, it's going to let you know that. Next is the beneficiary information. Make sure you type in the beneficiary information. It's relationship. There's going to be a drop down to give you the relationships that are approved. And if you have 2 beneficiaries, you can add in an additional, and you can also add in a contingent as well. If the owner, and in this case, the insured is the same as the owner, in some rare instances, the owner of the policy may be other than the insured, and that's what asking here about the owner. Does this applicant have an owner who is different than the proposed insured? Almost all the time that answer is going to be no. Okay, so that's what we're clicking in this case. So again, if you notice, this is very straightforward. This is the verification process. It's just verifying the address, so everything matched up. So it allowed me to proceed. So I'm just going to click on proceed. And then next for funding, it's asking me to go ahead and type in the routing number. Once you type in the routing number, it should automatically populate the financial institution, or you can manually type that in, whether the account is checking or savings. And then you're going to put in the account number. You have to do it twice just to make sure you're doing it right. You can see here it came up their information. It was JP Morgan Chase, and there's the routing number. Everything looks good. And then down here, you elect whether or not you're doing Social Security billing. And the Social Security billing would be if your client does get one of their money on one of the Wednesdays, that's when you really want to utilize this. So I know I initially set up I said the effective date was going to be on the 3rd, but for this illustration, I wanted to show you what it looked like if they were doing it on one of the Wednesdays. So I did this, draft initial premium upon approval, an account number. You want to select the JP Morgan Chase, and then I want to put in there the 2nd Wednesday, and then click next. And that's it for the banking information. Okay, split commissions. If there is another agent involved, you can split commissions. In this case, not splitting the commission, just 100% to the writing agent. And then also send policy documents. Typically, I always send the policy to the applicant. I don't have policies come to me. I want them to go to the applicant. And then my procedure is I have a really good follow-up process where I'm, first I'm with the client face-to-face, then I'm following up in a couple of days just to let them know, hey, Mr. Franklin, just want to let you know your policy got approved. You should be getting the paperwork within, 10 business days. I'm going to follow up with you just to make sure that you got it. I'm going to follow up again, make sure that he got the policy. If I can't get a hold of them on the phone, I'm going to do a drive-by just to make sure that they get the policy. And I'm going to do a policy review just to make sure everything that's in that policy, and I'm going to reconfirm that the premiums are correct, the beneficiary is correct, and I'm also going to just double check just to make sure that that $91 a month is good. And so on the follow-up call, I'd be something like this. Hey, Mr. Franklin, this is Joe, your agent. Hey, just want to make sure you got your policy. Great. Hey, just to verify, this was your beneficiary. This is, we did 15,000. The premiums are $91 a month. It's scheduled to come out on the 2nd Wednesday of, this upcoming month. Mr. Franklin, I just want to make sure before they draft that first premium, I just want to make sure that $91 a month is comfortable. And that's not going to take any food off your table, because if we need to make any adjustments, it's easier to make it now than later down the road where your policy could potentially lapse. So I want to give that client an opportunity to let me know, because here's what I can tell you. If you don't follow up, okay, and a month down the road, 2 months down the road, and it is too much, and they cancel the policy, it's very tough to save it. It's easier to save a policy. It's easier to save a deal in the beginning and being proactive than to be reactive. So be proactive with your clients. not reactive. The other thing too, which can help, and it doesn't happen that often, but occasionally when I do my 10-day follow-up, once they have their policy, sometimes just in that in-between time, they do get solicited by another agent. And this way I can, just resell the policy, resell me, the service that I provide, resell the company of Aflac, whoever it is I'm selling, and just reduce the chances of another agent trying to come in and possibly, replace the policy. Okay. So we're almost pretty much done here. All we need to do is really kind of do the signatures next. So agent information. Now what we're going to do is we're going to proceed to the signature portion. As far as uploading files, this is if very rarely would you ever use this, but for some reason, if you needed to upload a document, this is where you would do that. So here, what you're really doing, you really just kind of verifying everything, all the customer details, the plan information, and the payment information. From here, you don't need to click on upload unless you're uploading something. If everything looks correct, you're simply going to click here where it says start signature process. Okay, and they're going to have the client actually sign first, and there's 3 ways of signing. There's the in-person signature, there's an email signature, which you would use if you wanted to email your client the paperwork to sign, and there's also the security question signature. My personal recommendation is never use the email signature. If you're in person and you're actually face-to-face, select in person, okay? If you're selling over the phone, select the security question signature. And that's if I'm, let's say I met with a client, they were kind of on the fence, I followed up, they said, yeah, I really want to do it, sounds good, great. Mr. and Mrs. Client, would you prefer me to come out and do everything? Or if it's more convenient, I can just do the entire application over the phone. Okay, we're going to do the entire application over the phone. I go through everything, and then when it comes to apply the signature, I'm simply going to ask, I'm going to click security question. It's going to give me a drop down of all the approved questions. What's your mother's maiden name? What city were you born in? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite hobby? Mr. Client, Mr. Franklin, in order for me to apply your signature, I just need to ask you a simple security question. What's your favorite color? Oh, it's blue. Okay, I type in the word blue. I'm able to apply the client's signature as the agent in their behalf. Okay. Now, in this particular case, because I am face-to-face, I'm going to do it. I'm going to say in person, and I'm going to click on these 3 right here. Check yes to those, and then I'm going to click right here where it says apply applicant signature. And that's going to apply their signature, as you see here. And then the next would be the agent signature. So I'm going to do the same thing. And there is a section here where you do have to, before you can apply the signature, a PDF of the application is going to come up. So you do need to pull that up and just review it real quick before it will allow you to apply the signatures. Now I'm going to do my signature as the agent. I'm going to click right here, apply agent signature. Once that's done, you can see down at the bottom, I'll just put an arrow. It says submit application. Now I'm going to click submit, and I'm going to submit this to Aflac. This is what you're initially going to get. This little window is going to pop up. Okay. And these are the different options that will come up. Okay. One, you can see it will be instantly approved. If it's yellow, it means it's being routed to an underwriter. If it's red, it means it's declined. If it's instantly declined, it's got to be a major hit on their MIB or prescription history. The white, like this one's white, check for underwriting. And then gray is try again shortly. So in this case, it came up, it's white. I'm just going to click right here where it says check auto underwriting. And I may sit there for, if I'm with the client, I'll probably give it maybe, as I'm cooling down and just kind of chit-chatting, maybe 5 or 10 minutes just to see if I'm going to get an instant decision. So I check underwriting, and guess what? I got a green mark. I got a green circle that says, congratulations, the applicant is approved for coverage. We are now creating the policy documents, welcome letter, ID cards. You can view the pending business dashboard to see real-time status. And then you click done, and it takes you out of it, and you're completely done. Okay, this whole process, if you do it properly, you can knock this out in about 10 or 15 minutes. It's so quick, it's so easy. So I really feel like Aflac is going to be a great addition to our final expense portfolio, with everything that they bring to the table and the name recognition. Pretty cool. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for hopping on today's call. Appreciate you hanging in there with me. And like I said, we are getting this recorded. I'll get it up on the website as soon as possible, but I'll get it on here's my promise to you. I'll get it posted and onto the YouTube channel by Monday. So you can go ahead, if you want to review it, then you can go ahead and do that. So thank you everybody for participating on today's call. God bless, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care, bye-bye.